I want to go over my experience with the EOTech Vudu 1:8 second focal plane scope. The reason why I went with the Vudu 1:8 was I was inspired by the T-Rex Arms magnifier versus LPVO video where Lucas was using the 1:8 Vudu with a 193 mount from ScalarWorks. Before I was using the Vudu, I was just using the Aimpoint T2 by itself as my main optic for around a year. My original expectations for the scope was that I was actually going to use the T2 as my primary close-up optic while leaving the scope on a set magnification as my long-range engagement. However, through using it, I discovered that the scope is more than capable of being used for those fast close-up aggressive shooting, and that the dot was not fully necessary to solely be a close-up optic. I didn't feel that I could, at the time, before I even got a scope, before I even got my eyes behind any LPVO, I didn't trust the eye box. I thought the eye relief was going to mess me up for any close range shooting, but that is not the case at all. With great index and practice, the scope is no slower than a red dot from my experience. When it comes to intuitiveness, it is at first a little bit less intuitive than a red dot, because if you're not fully or perfectly aligned with the scope, you're not going to see the image. That for me showed that I didn't have consistent presentation when bringing the gun up to my eye line. Red dots, I think what they allow is kind of mask those issues of not perfect alignment with the gun. It's kind of similar to red dots on pistols a little bit. It's different, but it's the same, where if you don't have that consistent grip, the dot's not going to show up in the center of the window. The eye relief on the scope is incredible. I'm able to have a lot of wiggle room with my head. Even though I mentioned about having that perfect alignment, you can really get away with a lot with this scope and still and pull shots off where your head's not fully aligned, or in like uncomfortable positions or unorthodox positions where you're not going to get that exact perfect alignment, but it's really good. When moving, it's not an issue at all. You might get a little bit of shaking of the shadow, but that's not anything that you should be concerned of, or that's something I'm not concerned about at all. Compared to other magnified optics, ACOG or a magnifier, the eye relief is just so much better than those optics. I've always have it where I have to get so close to the optic. With the Vudu 1:8, I don't have to get super close to it. I don't have to lean my head all the way in. My head can stay, for the most part, in the same position throughout every range of magnification on the scope. So when it comes to close range performance, the Vudu is more than good enough for that. I would argue it's just as fast as a red dot. For me, when I go back and forth from the T2 to the Vudu, I don't notice at all any difference with if I see the dot sooner or not, or if the dot is where I need it to be sooner or not. It is more than capable of being quick. I just think people suck. For mid-range performance, I think this is where the 1:8 second focal plane scopes really shine. Being able to dial in around 1.5 to 2x and a little bit on the 3x side of things on small targets, either full size at 75 to 200 yards or micros at 50 to 100 yards. Being able to enlarge the hit range of the target with the scope is really nice. Other fixed magnified optics have a little bit of trouble doing that because the magnification is too much at that point, being 3 to 4x or higher. When it comes to long range shooting, I don't have a ton of experience shooting at distance, but I have made impacts up to 600 yards with the scope. During that experience, I used holds and the lower hash marks to be able to make impacts effectively out to 300 to 500 yards. I found that experience to be pretty easy for the most part. Once I got up to the 500 to 600 yard range, using holds and the lack of information on the reticle made it a little bit more difficult to be able to precisely have an aiming reference. It is doable for sure. I was able to make hits out to those distances. However, it's just not exactly what it's designed for. The scope, the reticle is very simple. It's nothing complex as other scopes, like first focal plane scopes. It can be done, but it's not what it's designed for. The glass quality on the scope is incredible. It is really clean and clear. It's very easy to see things and to actually read things out in my experience. The red dot is pretty bright. I would not say it's daylight bright, but it's bright enough to be used in those conditions. It's not been an issue for me to see the dot and to react off of seeing that dot. Thankfully, the scope does come with a throw lever. The throw lever, I would say, is a little bit more on the heavier side. I wouldn't say it's the heaviest I've felt before. It's very smooth and easy to dial back and forth. My experience zeroing it has been pretty good. It's pretty easy to zero. It's got turret caps that protect the adjustments on it. You can physically feel the clicking of the scope. The scope does add a good amount of weight to this gun. It's definitely noticeable. It is not horrible. The setup is around 10 pounds with a loaded magazine. My Vudu 1-8 is on a ScalarWorks 193 mount. With the mount being higher, I've said this in a previous video, but I needed to run a cheek riser to get a consistent sight alignment. Chin weld sucks. Chin weld is just not good. That was part of the issue of the sight alignment on this setup being slower, was just not having a proper cheek weld. Being able to have my face land on the same spot allows the scope to be in the exact spot it needs to be. It really forces the importance of a cheek weld. Yes, I ran it with a chin weld and it was okay. Like, I was still fast with it, but it wasn't. There was so much more potential of my speed and accuracy that putting on a cheek weld was just worth it. With this setup, I am running a offset dot. I love offset dots. I prefer more than top dots. As I said earlier, the original intent was this was supposed to be my close range setup, and the scope just dialed for long range because I didn't know better. I didn't trust the eye relief and how bad or how good it was. And so now the purpose of the T2 is to serve as an option for whenever I am magnifying and a close target pops up. So if I'm engaging a far target and then I don't have enough time to dial with the scope, then I just go to the offset. I do want to use this scope as much as possible. This is my primary optic. The T2 is only when I don't have enough time to dial to a 1x magnification. Other than serving as a time saver for dialing, the T2 also serves as a backup red dot. I do believe the Vudu 1-8 is a great option for a rifle setup that is trying to cover as many capabilities as possible. You could say a general purpose rifle or just a rifle. This scope does a really good job at covering distances from 0 yards all the way up to 400 yards. It can make those shots further out in a pinch. I wouldn't say if that was what you were going to only do is long range PRS shooting, the scope is just not meant for that. It's really good for closer intermediate ranges. If you are willing to take the time in developing a great index and to bear a little bit of the weight, the scope is a great asset.